Boys, we are finally here. UFC 309, Jones versus Miocic. Now, at the end of the day, I already made my crash out video about this topic, about this fight card. You know, am I gonna go as crazy as I did in that video in this video? Probably not. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I already made a whole ass video dogging this card, so not really. I'm still gonna dog it here and there, but I'm not gonna make this video into a whole ass rant video. Like I said, your boy already did that. Watch that video if you haven't yet. But we got every single fighter on this card, every single match. We're gonna do some rare predictions, who I think's gonna win and how. And to be honest, we're on like a 100% win streak. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure we've never lost one of these rare predictions. But let's start off early prelims, women's flyweight division. Veronica Hardy taking on Eduarda Moura. Now, Veronica Hardy, in my opinion, arguably like a top 15 level fighter in this flyweight division. She wants to keep it on the feet. She uses her range pretty well. She's really good also at like mixing in her footwork. You know, a good jab. She likes to fight in both stances throughout the fight. Eduarda, she wants to use her pressure to get the takedown. She likes to throw like single strikes and immediately go for the takedown. She's a good grappler, good submission threats, but like I said, Veronica Hardy I just think is levels above these unranked fighters, and I think Veronica Hardy has this pretty easily, 29-28 decision win. I'm not gonna go too in depth with a lot of these fights because especially like women fights, who really cares? You know, a good rule of thumb, 99% of the time, just pick the less attractive one. This one, unfortunately, not quite the case. You know, we're gonna go with Veronica Hardy, but that strata is typically undefeated, undisputed. But this is a very rare case where you do have to pick Veronica Hardy instead of Moura. But let's keep moving down welterweight division. Bassil, Hafez taking on Oban, Elliott. Now, Bassil, a good pressure fighter, but doesn't have much volume in his strikes and would rather load up on these heavy strikes and throw a multi-piece combo with, you know, this guy also has a little bit of questionable fight IQ. I'm not gonna lie, you know. I don't know, it's like he chooses to, when he's deciding which shot should he land, for some reason, there's just a voice in his head telling him, yeah, this is a perfect time to do some stupid spinning shit. He does that a lot, you know. Striking defense also not the greatest. He has some pretty bad footwork as well, and with his questionable fight IQ and, you know, him just throwing random ass shots, definitely could get countered. Where Oban Elliott, he's on a good win streak right now. He's really good at using his range with like jabs, straights, kicks. He has high output, pretty much the complete opposite of Bassil, but, you know, good output, decent ground game, fairly well rounded, you know. Also has a good gas tank. I think Oban's got this pretty easily. Do I think he finishes Bassil? I do not, but I think it's like a clean sweep pretty much. 30-27 Oban, to be honest. I don't see much success for Bassil in this fight. But let's go down welterweight division. Gall taking on Ramiz Brahimaj. Now, let's go with Gall. Honestly, both these guys are trash. Let's be realistically, but Gall, you know, both these guys, to be honest, it's either win or get cut. They're both fighting for the career out here. Gall, he's on a 3-fight losing streak. He's only 1 in 4 in his last 5 fights. You know, he has pretty bad striking. He's better. He has better ground game than on the feet. You know, this is such a low level fight though, and he does have I think he has the advantage on the feet. Or Brahimaj, you know, he's also a win one, lose one type of fighter. He's coming off a loss, so that does mean, you know, he's prime ready for a win here. The only wins though he has are coming from like no-name fighters who I don't even think are in the UFC anymore. And both of these guys are fighting to stay in the UFC. That's just what it boils down to. You know, Ramiz, yes, he is a better striker by a mile because Gall is just garbage. You know, he has a better footwork, but he has some ass takedown defense, and I think that's where we're going to see the biggest. I think that's where we're going to see who the winner is, because to be honest, I see Gall holding down and getting some control time on the ground on Ramirez and winning a decision. I would say 29-28 split decision. On the feet, Gall is going to get fucked up, and on the ground, Gall is going to do his best work. I think it's going to be a split decision. I think it's going to be a boring-ass fight. And again, a 50-50 low-level fight. Let's keep moving down. Again, mind you guys, this is a pay-per-view fucking card. Madison Square Garden. Should be one of the best cards of the year, and this is what we have. We have heavyweights up next. Marcin Tybura taking on Jhonata Diniz, Okay, let's break this down. Tybura, he's almost 40 years old, but, I guess age isn't the biggest factor in heavyweight. It's not like when you're 40 years old, you're automatically done in heavyweight. It doesn't quite work as much as in the lower weight classes, but, Tybura is one of those guys who can't get past the top 15 and is a pretty amazing top 15 gatekeeper with some pretty bad striking. He's not the greatest on the feet. He has some bad footwork. His game is definitely get you to the ground, do some ground and pounder, get a submission win. Where Diniz, he's going to be the better striker by a mile. He's also undefeated. But, he has some bad takedown defense. He was training for Derek Lewis, so not a grapple-heavy fight. He was training for a stand-up fight. And, it's either... I don't know if this fight really ends. It could end in a finish. There's a few possible outcomes. Either Diniz can stay on his feet, uses his range, uses distance management, get a decision win, maybe even knock out Tybura. Or Tybura is going to get down Diniz, submit him, ground and pound him, just hold him down on the ground, get a decision win. It's either whoever can implement their game is going to win this one. Either Tybura is going to keep you on the ground or Diniz is going to keep it standing. Whoever can implement it is going to win. I think Diniz is just a little bit too unproven for me to pick him. Tybura is at least proven with these top 15 heavyweights, where Diniz not so much. So with that being said, give me Tybura by a boring decision. Let's go into these normal prelims now. Featherweight division, finally a good ass fight. David Onama taking on Lucas Almeida. David Onama, his jab is one of his best weapons in his arsenal. Since he does have such a good reach advantage in majority of his fights, he has very textbook level striking, good straight hooks, good jabs. Doesn't really use many looping or like hooks, even like leg kicks he doesn't use in his game, which is odd. But he has good footwork and he has a really good eye for counters, which is really going to be fun to watch in this Almeida fight. But he'll look like the Flash out there. He's going to be so much faster than Lucas Almeida. Ground game, good ground game, pretty well rounded, but he just wants to stay. He prefers to stay on the feet, and I think he's just better everywhere than Lucas Almeida. Don't get me wrong. Almeida is also fairly well rounded. He likes to use his pressure and his combinations when striking, and hasn't used much of his ground game recently. But this boy's coming off, a pretty recent KO loss in his past. I don't think it was his latest one, but he has been KO'd recently. Like I said, I just think Almeida is better everywhere than Lucas Almeida. I also think he's gonna be the faster guy. I think he's gonna be the stronger guy. And again, he has that footwork and he has that good eye for counters. I think Almeida is getting slept by David Onama in this fight. Give me second round. I'm going to say second round. Just a straight down the pipe knockout win for David Onama. Let's go down. Lightweight division. Jim Miller taking on Megamind. Now, Jim Miller, again, this is like almost a mirror match of each other. They're both decently old, not as old. Like Jim Miller's definitely the oldest guy here, 41 years old, coming off a brutal loss to Bobby Green at UFC 300, past his prime a long ass time ago. And the biggest question I have in this fight, because 10 times out of 10 Jim Miller should be Damon Jackson, but I don't know. It's like after that Bobby Green fight, I don't know if Jim Miller is gonna be the same fighter. He took a shit ton of damage in that fight. Decent striker, Jim Miller. He's 100% going to have the power advantage. Honestly, I just think he's better everywhere than Megamind, to be honest. And we're really going to see, if that Bobby Green fight has fully changed him. Because again, 41 years old, taking that type of damage is not good for a 41-year-old. Let's go down to Megamind. Damon Jackson, throws a lot of jabs, lots of straights, lots of leg kicks, but the leg kicks are even just the striking alone is some of the most obvious and, no telegraph shots I've ever seen in my whole life. And that does mean this boy can get countered a lot. So it's hard to pick because we don't know how Jim Miller is going to look. I'm still riding with the boy Jim Miller. Give me Jim Miller by a knockout win. I think he's going to knock out Damon Jackson here. Megamind just has too big of a head. He's easily counterable. And yeah, I think Jim Miller's better everywhere. Let's move down to bantamweight division. Jonathan Martinez taking on Marcus McGhee. Martinez, he was on a good win streak till he fought Aldo. He has some good leg kicks, probably some of the best leg kicks in the UFC, to be honest, Or McGhee, he's 34 years old, which is crazy because I swear this dude was like in his 40s. He just looks super old, but 34 years old, he desperately needs this win. I'm not gonna lie, he desperately needs this win if he wants any chance of having some sort of run in this bantamweight division. Again, he's 34 years old, time is not on his side, and I think he might get it done over Martinez, to be honest. He has this very awkward style of striking. He has good footwork, mixes up both stances, and, he could set up some grappling here and there. He has some underrated submission threats, I'll tell you that, but he's pretty well rounded. It's a big jump up for Marcus McGhee, don't get me wrong, but I just don't know how Jonathan Martinez is going to deal with McGhee's awkward striking. And I think because of that, I think we might see a decision win here for McGhee. Again, that awkward striking, I think, is going to pay dividends in this fight. First round, McGhee, maybe, second round. Second round could be a very close fight. Then Jonathan Martinez might have figured it out by the third round. I'm going split decision, Marcus McGhee, 29-28. Let's go down to this light heavyweight division now. Nikita Krylov taking on Asmat Murzakanov. Now, Krylov fights every 2 years, it seems like, because of his injuries. And, his last fight to Ryan Spann, can you put anything behind that? Because, to be honest, Ryan Spann, probably one of the worst light heavyweights we have on the roster. Nikita Krylov, good striking, pretty bad striking defense. He's dangerous on the ground with good submission threats, but it's been 2 years. I don't know if I'm going to pick him in this one, which is crazy to say, but Asmat, He's more of a striker than anything. He's really good at staying in the pocket when needed to and leaving and not staying in the pocket too long. He's really good at that. He has good footwork, good counters, good fight IQ. He can mix it up by going for takedowns, holding you against the fence, stuff like that. But, he 100%, in my opinion, has the advantage on the feet with a very slight disadvantage on the ground, depending the circumstances. But I don't know if I can pick Nikita Krylov after 2 years hiatus, coming off a win over Ryan Spann, which I hold next to Gano win over a toddler, to be honest. I think I'm going Murzakanov by decision. 29-28. It's hard to pick someone who's been off for so long. Let's go down to this middleweight division. They kicked off Weidman from the main card. If you guys watched my rant video, they used to have Weidman on the main card. Kicked that boy out of the main card. But Chris Weidman, Eryk Anders, battle of the unks here. I say this every single fight card. There is at least one fight on every single card where it's the battle of the unks. A solid Sunday barbecue battle of the unks. There's always one of those on these cards. Chris Weidman, 40 years old, hasn't looked good in years. The only win he's gotten since the leg break was a 1-2 double wombo eye poke TKO win. So, do we put much into that? Honestly, both these guys are trash. I'm not gonna lie. Eryk Anders, also pretty old at 38 years old. In his last few wins, the people he's won against aren't even in the UFC. Like I said, this is a terrible fight to be on a pay-per-view. He likes to use his pressure when striking to get you up against the cage, mixing some takedowns. He has better footwork than Chris Weidman, but after seeing Chris Weidman's last fight, being able to eye poke and literally TKO someone from a double wombo combo eye poke, how can you ever bet against him? Give me Chris Weidman by a dirty robbery decision. Let's go down main card. Lightweight division. Mauricio Ruffy taking on James Llontop. Now, Ruffy, he's very, very good and has a very fun style to watch with good counters. Overall, just good defense, not just in striking, but takedown as well. He's very, very well rounded. Plus, this boy's part of that Fighting Nerds, one of the best teams in MMA right now, where James Llontop, this is a short notice fight for Llontop. More of a pressure forward type of striker than anything else. He has a good jab, but almost zero striking defense. That's going to be a terrible thing when you're fighting someone like a Ruffy, who has really good striking. And Llontop, he wants to turn fights into brawls, also has zero head movement. I don't see a world where Ruffy doesn't knock this boy out cold, to be honest. Give me Ruffy by I would be disappointed if it's not a first round. Give me Ruffy by 4th minute, first round KO win. Let's go down. Bo Nickal, middleweight division. Bo Nickal, Paul Craig. Bo Nickal, Bo Nickal is still so unproven, which is crazy, but, he has some solid power, questionable technique when striking, good submission threats, he's a good solid grappler, good wrestling, but, has some questionable takedowns at times, but he's very young, very green in MMA. He's just going to get better and better after every single fight, where Paul Craig, he hasn't been doing too well. Let's be real. Let's be realistic. Like, he's 1-4, he hasn't been doing that great. He's 1-4 in his last 5, but regardless of that, still a very, very good test for Bo Nickal. And don't get it twisted, Paul Craig could pull up a crazy upset. He has great submission threats. Obviously, if you guys know these fighters, you know the biggest path of victory for Bo Nickal. Paul Craig has some absolutely terrible striking defense. Just on the feet himself, he's just brain dead, it seems like. Plus, he's coming off a KO like 5 months ago to Brahimaj. So again, he's never had the best chin in the world. He's also coming off a KO 5 months ago. You're telling me Bo Nickal doesn't sleep Paul Craig? I don't see a world where that doesn't happen. Give me first round KO Bo Nickal. Bo Nickal does have some power in this middleweight division, and I just don't see a world where he doesn't knock out a Paul Craig, again, coming off a KO loss 5 months ago. Let's go down. Women's flyweight division. I have no idea why this is the featured fight. I'm pissed about this. This is in my rants video anyways, but I'm not even gonna really break this shit down. I don't care. It's pretty much a mirror match of each other. Viviane versus Silva. I don't care to break this shit down. Again, a mirror match of each other. Viviane is almost 38 years old. Silva, on a good win streak. She's okay at striking. I don't care again, a mirror match. One of the girls is way older than the other one. Give me Silva by a decision win. I don't care. Let's go down. That co-main event. Now, while we're recording this, there has been rumors that this might not be the co-main event. There's rumors that, someone's injured, blah, blah, blah. Who gives a? Again, it's not confirmed yet, and I'm recording this ahead of time. So if you're watching this and you're going to type in the comments, be a little retard saying, oh, but blah, 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 this guy pulled out, this isn't the right card anymore, Charles is out, how didn't you know Charles is out? Again, this is recorded ahead of time. I don't understand how some people are so oblivious to that, even though I say it every single time, and yet I get comments all the time saying, oh, how did you not know this? How did you know? Because it's recorded ahead of time. Shut up. Now, Charles Oliveira, extremely well-rounded, Do we really need to break this shit down? This has already happened. Oliveira, Michael Chandler, number 2. The only big hole in Oliveira's game is, he doesn't have the best takedown defense, and he gets dropped in every single one of his fights, it seems like. Where Chandler, again, also gets dropped in every single one of his fights. But Michael Chandler, probably one of, if not like the best first round fighter in UFC, but at the end of the day, also one of the dumbest UFC fight IQ wise in the UFC. It's first round or bust for Chandler 99% of the time. And he's also been inactive. What can I say? I don't understand why this is like, I don't know why people are picking Chandler. Logically, yes, you can say, but MMA doesn't make any sense. That does make sense. UFC is retarded sometimes and hella scripted, but I don't think the script is helping out Chandler this time. Give me Oliveira by, I don't think he's knocking out Chandler again. I think this boy's getting submitted. So, because think about it, Chandler was not preparing for someone like an Oliveira. He was training 2 years for a stand-up fight against Conor. Not someone with the level of ground game as Charles. So Charles by submission, 3rd round. Let's go down to the stupid main card now. The main event, Jon Jones, Stipe Miocic. Again, I'm not going to break this shit down. Jon Jones, 37 years old. Stipe, 42 years old and extremely inactive. Is there much that I need to say? Yes, Stipe does have a chance, does have a shot here. It's heavyweight. Anyone can get hit with a lucky shot, but at the end of the day, he's inactive, 42 years old. I don't see a path of victory for Stipe. Realistically, again, the shit's scripted as well, so you never know. And MMA can be hella retarded at points, but I don't know why, but I'm also just seeing a Jon Jones submission win. Give me Jon Jones, 2nd round. I'm seeing a 2nd round fucking Kimura. Fuck it, I don't even care. 2nd round Kimura win, Jon Jones. For Chandler and Oliveira, I'll say rear naked choke. But that UFC 309. At the end of the day, is anyone even excited for this shit? Like, There's been no hype. I've seen no hype for this card. You know, I've been yapping for a minute now. I'm kind of pissed now because I had to remember just how ass this card is. I think I'm gonna go and just sleep. There's literally nothing else to say. So with all that being said, guys, I will see you guys in my next video.